Good overnight and welcome back to From Day One, the overnight edition episode. Good old Art Bell is waiting in the wings for us for tonight's Midnight in the Desert. And for the first time here on From Day One, we're going to let him helmet by himself. He does not actually have a guest lined up. It is open lines tonight with some of the best paranormal stories from 2015 to here in 2022. This episode originally aired on July 31st, 2015 for the Great American Southwest. We will grab the mailbag, but as we grab that, let's grab Mr. Bell. Take it away, if you would please, from the high desert in the Great American Southwest, as you would say.
From the high desert in the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be on God's great earth. And that's the whole earth, whatever time zone. Welcome. This is Midnight in the Desert, and I'm Art Bell. And tonight, baby, it's all you. All of you. That's right. Anybody who wants to get in tonight can get in, and I'm about to tell you how. Only 2 rules to our show. No bad language. Don't need it. And only 1 call per show. Well, okay. Let us thank everybody. Telos for the great sound. And, oh, it is great, too. Let me tell you. Telos and Joe Talbot here in Toronto. What are the odds of the big guy in Telos being right here in Toronto? Almost 0, right? But he was here, and here we are. Keith Rowland, my everlasting webmaster. Dr. J, producer. All of you. The Bell Gab website. People who love our Bell. The Midnight in the Desert group. And a whole bunch of other groups that are springing up. Stream Guys, getting it to you. LV.net, getting it to me. And, of course, Sales and Peter Eberhardt. He's like the guy who gets the money. So, that's all out of the way. As I said, open lines. Anything goes tonight. Now, I have asked for your best paranormal experience, whatever that would be. I've had, a few in my life. And so, that leads me to believe that a lot of you have had them too. So I'm sure you have one that you would like to tell us about, perhaps the scariest or weirdest one, whatever that may be. We're open to it. Couple of items before we get started. Under a microscope, an expert eyes, that wing fragment you've seen so much about lately, is being carefully examined by many. Looking and looking, no clues, well, nothing we have been told about yet, other than it's a, 777 piece. Has to be the one, right? And this news, despite all the bombs we have dropped, actually billions of dollars spent, 10,000 extremist fighters killed, the assessment is the Islamic State, ISIS, is no weaker than it was when we began. So we have bombed them into a stasis, a state of stasis. Yeah. In Marana, Arizona, the police department there is reporting what they consider to be a ghost in their radio. Now, this is no normal thing. This is officers saying, somebody is saying, some woman, stop talking to me. Stop talking to me, like the screaming woman. No technical explanation from those who know about that stuff. They checked it out. So, they think it's possibly a ghost in the radio. There are ghosts in the radio, folks. And by the way, on the subject of ghosts, I've got one I want you to see. It's a ghost hunter's catch, and we put it up on artbell.com. Now, you're going to have to look very carefully. Look near the cannons. That's what I'll tell you. Look near and behind the cannons. And you'll get to see it. It's pretty freaky. I'm pretty big on paranormal, as you know. And there's a couple of items here that I think you might want to know about. Real history, stuff verified over the years, really paranormal, stuff science cannot explain at all, but science admits it happened. Events, actually, that changed history. How about the blessing of the Roman Catholic Church itself? With some encouragement, the miracle of the sun, as it's called, was finally recognized as an actual biblical miracle on 13 October 1930. That's about 20 years after the event itself, and it was a doozy. At about lunchtime on Sunday, October 13th of 1917, the little town of Fatima, Portugal, thousands gathered beneath storm clouds, which were interrupted by an opaque, spinning disk in the sky, which then blasted a dazzling ray of light down upon the onlookers, many of whom claimed to have seen the apparition of the Blessed Virgin Mary in it. Well, it really happened, folks. It was viewed by somewhere between 30,000 and 100,000 people of varying ages, and has since been confirmed as a miracle by the Roman Catholic Church, despite some theories about space dust, probably swamp gas, tricks of light, things people say. Nobody has explained what all those people saw. And then there's one more I thought I'd lay on you. To most time travel fantasies that involve changing history, the catalyst for a butterfly effect throughout history is more often than not somebody dying. You kill Hitler, maybe stop Abe Lincoln from dying or something. And of course, history changes, right? When somebody dies, you're removing a person's decisions, interactions, all from the world, which is why the poltergeist curse. Remember the movie Poltergeist, right? The girl sort of clawing at the television set. You remember that movie, a lot of you. That's why that movie had such a ineffable effect on history for most. Poltergeist curse is simply that people keep making unnecessary sequels. And now a remake of Hooper's classic haunted house movie, or else maybe it's being damned to hear your near-it-all friend endlessly tell you how Spielberg really directed it. Spielberg he may definitely feel responsible for the untimely deaths of dozens of people. This is a true story involved in that film. He okayed the use of real human skeletons. You know that? Not props. In the very first movie, and since then, an unexplained curse has claimed the lives of most of the main cast in violent and tragic circumstances, and even the novelization writer was killed in a car crash. A few things to think about. All right, now you're going to get the phone lecture, and then we'll break briefly and come back, and it's all yours tonight, really all yours. I'm serious. I enjoy these nights perhaps more than any other, simply because, I don't know, because it's you and because it's open lines and because I don't know what's coming and I don't screen calls. So here comes the How to Sound Better in the Digital Age lecture. We've got a very good phone system here, so if you call in on the phone, try and use a landline. If you can't use a landline, try and use a cell phone that has 5 bars lit up. And if you can't do that, then just do the best you can. Now, beyond that, we have, and of course we have a public number. Let me give it to you. It's area code 952. You might want to write this down. 952-225-5278. 952-225-5278. That's the public number, and there's plenty of lines, so you've got a chance to get through. Now, number 2, Skype. In the digital age, boy, can you sound good on Skype. If you've got a headset mic on a computer, and you've actually hooked it up with Skype and set it, it's going to sound like $1 million. It's going to sound like you're sitting in the studio with me. But if you don't have a computer, no problem. If you have a smartphone, boy, are you in biz. You know, if it's an iPhone or an Android, gotta have that talk some night. It's like Ford and Chevy, right? Everybody argues about what's better. Doesn't matter, they're both actually good. And what you can do is put Skype on it. Just download Skype. It's a free download. Once you've done that, become familiar with it. It'll work just fine with your phone. All you've got to do is put in what I'm about to tell you. MITD 51. If you're in America or Canada, you put in MITD 51. And even though I don't connect with you as a friend, doesn't matter. It'll be then in your list of contacts, and you can just punch it and dial me. It's that simple. And if you're overseas, if you're outside the country, anywhere else in the world, actually, same thing. You've got a smartphone, computer, put in MITD 55. MITD 55. And then it'll be in your contact list. You can punch it, and it will dial us up, and boy, will you ever sound good. Just don't leave it on the speakerphone. So these are the tips for sounding really spiffy in the digital age. Oh, by the way, I was on the air with Tom Likas for about an hour earlier today. That was pretty cool and fun, and, you know, we talked about radio, and we had a good time. Now it's our turn. We're going to have a good time with you. Any sort of paranormal event that you want to tell us all about, maybe freak us out a little bit, that's tonight. That's now on Midnight in the Desert.
And again, we're muted until the audio bumper is done, just to make sure we do not get a copyright restriction. So we'll return to that great American Southwest desert with Art Bell in just a moment, as we get very close to level 75 here in Dominion. Which, as you can see by our little meter over on the side, will trigger a few of the heroes' ability to promote, providing we have the correct items for them. So we are getting close there. So we should be just a touch away from there. Of course, we return to the voice of Reno, given the numbers again before Bill rejoins. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. Hopefully that wasn't long enough to trigger the YouTube bot.
On the wild side of midnight, from the kingdom of Nye, this is Midnight in the Desert with Art Bell. Please call the show at 1-952-225-5278. That's 1-952-CALL ART.
That's right. A couple of other things, just very quickly. Number one, if you haven't done it yet, and you're listening on, I don't know, a phone or a computer, for goodness sakes, put on headphones. We're in stereo. That's right, living stereo. So it sounds pretty darn good. You'll be really shocked if you put some earbuds. I'm going to tell you about how to get good earbuds from Bob Crane. And you need to get them, because I'm telling you, the stereo is knock you dead good. Oh, and I might go on Periscope later. So if you're not connected to me yet on Twitter, I'm ArtBell51. That's me on Twitter, ArtBell51. Then it will notify you when I turn Periscope on, and you'll be able to look at the back of my head. It's the only place to really mount this camera. Actually, my iPhone. Only place to really mount it. So, if you're interested in watching the back of the head of a talk show host, go join me on Twitter at ArtBell51. But a lot of people asked for it. All of that in mind, let us go, I think, to our overseas line and say, hello, Robert, you're on the air.
Hi there, Art. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Where are you?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne, Australia. We hear from a lot of Aussies, Robert.
Mate, your program is just so good.
Okay, now get...
Listen,
Robert, wait. Get good and close to where your microphone is on your computer.
Yeah, I have to go right in here.
Yes, right in there.
Are you looking at me, or am I just on the phone?
No, you're just on the phone. I mean, I can see your picture.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Okay, so what's up?
I just sent you an email a couple of days ago about Pine Gap. Wonder whether you read that.
I don't think I have, so tell me.
Okay. Well, basically, I was up there in 1967, and I'd hired a mini moke. I don't know if you know them. They're tiny little Jeep-like cars. And I was out in the desert. We were going to a place called Eagle Gap, and all of a sudden the car conked out. And I thought, it feels like the battery's gone, but couldn't find the battery. I opened up the front, not there. So
you couldn't find the battery?
Well, no. I'll continue, and you'll find out why.
Okay.
I've been there looking around, and car pulls up behind me, and a big guy about 6'3", quite wide, gets out. Says, "What's the trouble?" I said, "I can't find the battery." He says, "Oh, and these things, they're behind the left-hand rear wheel in the frame." Sure enough, it was.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, I put the wires on. He said, "Oh, there's a pub just up the road, as there is everywhere in Australia." He said, "Let's go and have a drink." Yeah. So we did, and we got chatting. And this is 1967. They were hippie days. We got into some pretty esoteric type stuff, And he says to me, "Well, I work at Pine Gap." I'm going, "Wow, but tell me." So anyway, he was telling me that he was, I don't know what they call him. He's the sort of guy that hires people.
What is Pine Gap?
Pine Gap is an American base in Central Australia near Alice Springs.
Yes, okay.
They started building, I think, in the 50s. One of the first things they built there was a Tesla coil, so maybe that's some clue. Anyway, he told me that he worked at Pine Gap, but because he was Australian, he could only get down as far as a level 8. He said went right down. And he told me that they were messing about with anti-gravity.
This is level 8 below ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anti-gravity.
That's what he said, yeah.
It figures if we really had anti-gravity, we'd probably take it to Australia.
Yeah, well, we're upside down, aren't we? We're down under. So anyway, he told me that the technology came from crashed UFOs, which is... He basically told me the Roswell story, but in his case, they crashed somewhere between Russia and China.
Ah.
Sounds weird, but...
Not so much, really. I've often thought there must have been crashes elsewhere.
Right. Well, this was 67, so I don't think the Roswell story came out till 70s, was it? 72 or something like that?
Oh, no, it was out in 45.
Oh, okay. Anyway, he told me the story, and he said there were beings involved who were, and these are his exact words, they were roughly 4 foot 8 inches high, with very thin vertebrae, which suggested they came from somewhere with a gravity less than ours.
Sure.
And I thought that was really interesting. A couple of nights later, I had a meal or barbecue actually, in the creek there, with him and 2 other guys who were from America.
Yes.
And they told me that they arrived on these great ships, planes, that they come into Alice Springs quite regularly, Starliners, I believe they're called, and that they sort of moved into almost a replica of their own house there on the base, and that our government didn't even know they were there, and da-da-da-da-da-da. But I just like this is 1967. I just wondered, I'd be really interested if you could interview someone who sort of maybe knew more what's going on there these days.
Well, did you stay in touch with this guy?
He did write to us, but I then split up with the lady I was with at that time, and I had no contact. No, his name was Mac. That's all I recall.
Mac. Well, that'll make it easy. Mac, that you met in a bar. What makes you think that it was just more than two guys sitting around drinking, talk?
He had no reason to sort of tell me lies. It was him and his lady and myself and my lady, and we were talking for a little while before this occurred. And particularly when we had a barbecue with him 2 nights later, and the same stuff was still being talked about, I really don't think he was lying to me.
Gotcha. All right, I really appreciate that story. Thank you. What do you think, folks? Sounded like a legit recitation of a story. That doesn't, it's not first person, but yeah, if we had something like that, I think indeed we might take it to Australia where there are fewer prying eyes. Everybody knows about Area 51, and of course they don't get in, but there's constant traffic by it now. People gawking and trying to see something. Why not take it to Australia? Actually. Well, okay. Let us go to regular old Skype here in the North American sector. Somebody named Disconnected76. I hope that doesn't mean mentally.
Not at all. That's me.
Howdy.
How you doing, Art? Great
Very
to be
well.
back.
Oh, it's great to be back.
First off, I just wanted to tell you, I discovered today that the TuneIn app is also on the Xbox One, so I have it going on there loud and clear.
Oh, yeah, I have forgotten about that. How could I do it? My daughter has an Xbox One, which she is on constantly. And I had heard that we're actually on Xbox One. So, we're on everything but a toaster.
Well, who knows, maybe soon, right?
Soon.
As far as the story goes, I don't know if you remember, but the last show you did, Spooky Matter, where you were with Sirius.
Yes.
My wife, Stella, had gotten through to you and had discussed the house we lived in where the knives were coming out of the sheets on the counter into the floor by my feet.
I kind of remember that, yes.
Right, and she had found the, I guess I should say we, but she was the one who found all this back there, and then found the bones and the teeth and the 150-year-old money back there.
Yeah, I remember.
So there's that whole situation, but we've since moved from that house.
Don't blame you.
No, it got a little much, to be honest with you. But as I reflect upon things in life, that isn't really the first instance of that's happened to me. I remember when I was really young, and we're talking between the ages of 2 and 5 here. I remember a distinct smell of bacon, eggs, and coffee. Now, the reason I say that is because I live with myself, my older sister, and my 2 parents.
I remember that, too. I mean, what's so odd about that? Everybody pretty much has bacon, eggs, coffee in the morning, right?
But see, nobody ever did.
Oh, well, that's a problem.
That was never cooked. And at the same house, again, this is when I was very young.
Well, that bacon, eggs, and coffee that you smelled?
Yes.
That was obviously from a prior tenant who had died violently in your room.
and they just kept having to cook over and over and over again.
Sorry.
It's all right. But in that same house, 2 more things of note for that house. Up on the top level in the bathroom, my sister was hanging, she was 9 years older than me, so she was still pretty short. She was hanging the shower curtain, with the hooks.
Yeah.
And everything, and she was standing on a stool.
Yes.
And my mom, I saw this, and I have a fairly vivid memory of it. My mother was also there and insists that my memory is not mistaken. that she got thrown across the room into the wall, which was about 8 feet away from the shower curtain.
Oh, see, now that's way into the paranormal. No question.
Yes.
Woof.
Yes. And I remember a lot of people having weird dreams there, but the only other thing of real note before we moved out is when you would go up and down the stairs.
Yes.
You could hear things whispering your name, and you always felt like you were going to get pushed down.
Yeah, so it's fair to say you haven't had a lot of luck with houses.
Well, I guess not, no. Either that or I'm very lucky and get to experience those things depending how you want to look at it.
So how's the house you live in now?
We live in a high-rise apartment just outside of Minneapolis, and we have no paranormal activity at all whatsoever as of yet.
Way to go, sir. All right. Thank you very much for the story, and good luck with your future real estate. Going to Iowa City, Iowa on the phone. Hello there.
Hi, Art. How's it going?
It's going really well. Thank you.
Good. This story happened to me in December of 1997, and I have to tell you, I have tried to call you when you were on the radio ever since, mostly on the Ghost to Ghost line, and I'm so glad to finally get a hold of you.
Well, here you are.
Well, like I said, this happened about sometime in December of 1997. I was back on Christmas break from college, and I was at my girlfriend's house. She lived about, 10 miles from me in a very wooded, rural area.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go hang out with her until pretty late in the evening, and then I would go home. But because it's an Iowa winter, it was so cold that I would go out and start my car about 15 minutes before I would leave.
I did that in Alaska. I understand.
Okay, so that's what I was doing. I went out, started my car, the headlights came on, and she had like some pine trees, off to the side of her house that my headlights were hitting. And as I was getting ready to step out of my car, I saw movement in the pine trees. Now, this was like 2 a.m, so it was very dark, and snow, thick snow on the ground.
Right.
And I watched it for a second thinking, it was just nothing. But a woman came out from behind these pine trees, and she looked distraught. I remember she had long brown hair, and she was wearing like a nightgown or a robe of some kind, very thin, obviously not dressed for the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And as she was walking towards me, I noticed she was barefoot.
Yes. In the snow and the ice
and
and
the snow,
cold.
Yeah, it was very, very cold.
Okay, listen. Listen to me. Hold on.
Sure.
We got the barefoot lady, and we're going to take a break. Come right back to you. Find out what happened next.
From the Great American Desert, again muted just so we do not get a copyright strike. We'll be back with it as soon as day starts speaking again. That's why they had gone to 95 last week, but it looks like they didn't do a reset, so they actually did a full 125, which is why the difficulty on these fights are so much higher. So I'm going to have to leave them to Thursday to see if there's going to be any even remote chance of me even be able to knock one out.
A jail inmate in Arizona is hospitalized after authorities say he pulled one of his eyeballs out of his socket. Officials say detention officers making routine checks Thursday night saw blood on the window of Corkill's cell door and found that he had pulled his right eyeball out of his socket with his fingers. Doctors were unable to save the man's eye. A Texas businessman used an app to find his iPhone in a rural pasture after it fell about 9,300 feet during a flight from Houston. Wilson says he and a pilot were traveling home Monday in a Beechcraft Bonanza when a pressure change caused the passenger door to open slightly. Wilson didn't realize his cell phone fell out until after landing. He and an employee used an app to narrow the search down to near Jacksboro, more than 50 miles away. The pair set out on their search Tuesday and ended up in a rural pasture. They found the cell phone under a mesquite tree. And believe it or not, the cell phone still works. That's one heck of a cell phone. This is Dark Matter News. The National Air and Space Museum is launching a crowdfunding campaign to conserve the spacesuit Neil Armstrong wore to the moon. The campaign began earlier this month, marking 46 years since Armstrong's moonwalk in 1969. Conservators say spacesuits were built for short-term use with materials that break down over time. The museum aims to raise $500,000 on Kickstarter to conserve the spacesuit, but build a climate-controlled display case and digitize the spacesuit with 3D scanning. The Smithsonian formed a partnership with Kickstarter for a series of crowdfunded projects. The spacesuit is the first. Armstrong's spacesuit is deteriorating and hasn't been on display since 2006. The museum plans to display it for the 50th anniversary of Armstrong's moonwalk. Later, the suit will be the centerpiece in Destination Moon, a gallery opening in 2020. The Kickstarter campaign has already reached its goal, raising $582,000 of their $500,000 goal from 7,591 backers, with 18 days left to go. NASA has been forced to address the latest doomsday prediction by an impending 2.5-mile comet strike in the month of September 2015. The claim was initially made by the self-proclaimed prophet named Reverend Ephraim Rodriguez. He said that a very large asteroid or a comet will hit Earth either on September 15th, 22nd, or 28th, or any other day in between. He also claimed that the location of the comet strike will be around the region close to Puerto Rico. The impact will set in motion a series of events taking place simultaneously in various parts of the world, like triggering earthquakes, causing a tsunami, and volcanic eruptions. The final prediction is that the experiments being conducted at the Large Hadron Collider will go beyond our control. This will cause the eventual destruction of Earth and wipe out humanity from the face of our planet. He further confirmed that the entire U.S. East Coast, Latin American nations, Mexico, and some countries in South America will be completely destroyed. He advised NASA to issue a warning about the comet strike so that people presently living in the areas that will be affected can be relocated to safer places. Other accounts of such apocalyptic theories are being shared online and are gaining a lot of traction, with many people agreeing that the event would bring about a climatic catastrophe. Some people have claimed that the actual doomsday will be caused due to CERN's Large Hadron Collider. They say that the logo of the CERN is the number 666, which is the sign of the devil. Others say that this is the sign of the beast in the circle. They go on to claim that the CERN Collider looks like Stargate, or the all-seeing eye that they find in many places around the world. For now, NASA has addressed and contradicted their prediction of apocalypse by an impending comet strike in the month of September 2015. Let's hope they're right. For Dark Matter News, I'm Leo Ashcraft.
All right, they're back to a musical bumper. It's just the newscast that he did. Some of the tapes I have actually have the newscast, some don't. So since we had it, we figured might as well throw that one in. Musical bumpers are deal as we're fighting in the Fungeon. As soon as they do get back to speaking, we will join them. Should be any second here. If I remember this particular tape.
Ride from the high desert and the great American Southwest. This is Midnight in the Desert, exclusively on the Dark Matter Digital Network. To call the show, dial 1-952. Call Art. That's 1-952-225-5278.
We are rocking you, and somebody needs to send me a message telling me if we are indeed...
Just a second, there's too much of that music. I have a feeling it's going to get copyright strikes, so I'm waiting for a few seconds. He's just checking with everybody to see if his Periscope is running.
Yes.
Alright, remember when they were last Iowa City, Iowa?
Nice.
Talking about snow.
With the headlights of my collar bearing down on her. And what happened?
Well, I got halfway out of my car, and I said, ma'am, because she was kind of heading for my car, but it was obvious she wasn't paying attention to me or the car.
Right.
She was stumbling.
Right.
And I said, ma'am, and she didn't respond at all, and I said it again, and she didn't respond at all, and suddenly I got very spooked, and I slammed the car door and ran back to my girlfriend's house.
Uh-huh.
And she could tell I was spooked, and in my mind, all these things were going on. I knew that there was a nursing home not too far up the gravel road, like on the edge of town.
Okay.
And my girlfriend actually worked in the kitchen department of that nursing home.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if she was stumbling like she was sick or what?
Yeah, she looked distraught.
Okay.
And so I told my girlfriend what had happened. She grabbed the phone, and we went outside. And my girlfriend instantly started laughing and calling me a jerk, thinking I was making a joke because she was nowhere to be found.
Yes.
And I kept insisting that this happened.
Right.
And but she pointed out that in my headlights there were no footprints at all in the snow.
Hmm.
And so we kind of looked in the ditch a little bit, and my girlfriend refused to call anybody. She thought I was joking.
So you probably said, honey, with something this scary out here, I've really got to stay with you tonight.
Well, let's just say that if this woman was trying to warn me from my girlfriend, I should have listened. But she refused to call anybody, and I started questioning my own sanity there, that I must have been seeing things. So I went home. And like I said, it's about a 10-minute drive on a very dark gravel road.
Right.
And I used to listen to you because it was early in the morning, and so I'd stay freaked out on that road all the time because your show always freaked me out.
My show freaks me out half the time.
Well, so the next night, same thing. I was at my girlfriend's house. I go out to start my car, and I'm spooked, but the same thing happened. The woman came out.
Same lady and everything?
Same lady. Same stumbling from up behind the same pine trees, and same thing. I ran back in the house. This time I didn't say anything.
Wow.
When it came
I don't blame you. So go ahead. I wouldn't have said anything either.
Yeah, I decided it wasn't worth going through it again. And when I went back to get my car to go home, nobody was there. Same thing.
Right.
And this happened off and on the exact same way for that entire break. And I went back to college after the break was over. And fast forward in time, I don't know what break it was on, but there was no longer any snow on the ground. I was still seeing my girlfriend, and I got in my car one night, started heading home, and there's a campground right off this gravel road between her house and my house. And I saw somebody standing at like this orange gate at the entry to the campground. I didn't think anything of it. I could see it in my headlights as I was coming up. And as I got closer, I realized it was that woman.
The same woman. Seasons have changed, and it's the same woman.
Seasons have changed. Same woman, same dress, same like nightgown or whatever.
Now we're talking
same long hair. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. And she looked directly at my car, and her head followed my car as I drove by her. That's the first time that as I got home, I realized that's the first time she's ever looked at me.
That's pretty freaky too.
Yeah, I was so scared. And so time is a little confusing to me now, but then a few nights later or a few weeks later, I pulled into I was living with my mom and dad while, I was going to school.
Right.
And so that's where I was going from my house to my girlfriend's house. So I pull into my mom and dad's house, and I get out, and I start heading for the front door, and my mom and dad lived in town, but a very small town, and the woman walked from around my mom and dad's house towards the front door right for me. She was maybe 10 feet from me. Same thing, stumbling, looking mostly at the ground, wringing her hands.
Okay.
And I got spooked. I ran in the house as fast as I could.
And that's the end of the story?
It's not.
Okay, well, we have to get there because we do have some time limit.
I definitely will get there.
Okay.
That kept happening to the point where I was going around the back of the house to go into the back door because I wouldn't see her. And one day, it was bright middle of the day. I'm lying on the living room floor watching TV. The phone rings. I get up and I look out the front windows as I'm going for my phone, and the woman is standing in the highway in front of my mom and dad's house, staring right at the front door.
Oh my!
And let me tell you, if you think things are freaky in the middle of the night, they're even freakier in broad daylight. Cause they're not supposed to happen in broad daylight.
Definitely coming for your soul.
Yeah, because the next day, the last time I saw her was the next day. Same thing. Saw her standing right in the middle of the road. This time she was clutching her nightgown, screaming at the top of her lungs, although I couldn't hear a word. And it looked like there was some sort of stain all over the front of her nightgown.
Well,
she was looking directly at the front door, and I've never seen her since.
God, this is a message for you. But what happened with the girlfriend?
Oh, I got rid of her not long after that.
Maybe that was the message all along. All right, thank you very, very much for the call. The lady who kept coming back until she didn't. All right, let's see. I'm trying to make a circuit here. Going outside the country somewhere. You're on the air, YLP.
Hi, Art. How are you?
I'm well. It sounds like another Australian to me.
Indeed. I've been made aware that there's been a lot of Australians on the air tonight, so I'm glad that you chose me.
Glad to have you.
I must admit that I've not listened to your show very often, but I went and visit my boyfriend at the end of last year, and he introduced me to you, and since then I've been fascinated by a lot of your discussion topics, especially Mel's Hole.
Oh, yes. I would surely, I'd love to hear from Mel again.
Indeed,
I wonder,
so would I.
Well, actually, Mel is supposed to be in Australia, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, yes. Mel contracted, sir, Mel contracted cancer and was last heard to have gone to Australia. So, I don't know what to tell you. Watch for guys around holes.
Indeed. Sounds good. Well,
okay.
All the best for your ongoing show.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to continue listening to your exciting stories and those of others.
Well, now we have you. You have one?
Indeed. Thank you.
Do you have the story?
No, unfortunately, I don't have any fancy stories, but I very much enjoy hearing those stories of people around.
Well, okay then. Thank you for calling, and
get off my mind.
Okay, bye. Take care. All right, let's see, Skype here in North America. You're on the air. Hello.
Is this me?
It is. Oops. Oh, I am so sorry. Jack W. Jack W., buddy, I'm sorry. If I see you pop up again, I just did that by mistake. Maybe he's calling back. No, it's not Jack W. It's a Jack. Jack, you're on. Yeah, it is Jack W. Jack, buddy, you made it back.
No, but I can't believe I got through. Is this the one and only Mr. Art Bell?
It is. You're not Jack W., huh?
No, unfortunately, I wish I was, apparently.
You're another Jack.
I'm a Jack. I am Jack from Miami, Florida.
All right, Jack. Jack W.,
and I'm glad
sorry,
I got through you. Welcome back, Mr. B.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, and I mean that sincerely. Mr. Bell, I'm going to make it quick because I know we have time constraints.
Yes.
And the clock, and if you're into time travel, and so am I can emphasize with you. Let me bring my point to fruition, as they say.
Sure.
Do you remember the interview you did with Father Malachi Martin in 1997 regarding to get to the point, the Vatican having built an observatory in Mount Graham in Arizona?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Well, that being said and done, as they say, I remember the reply that Father Malachi, may he rest, had stated to you that in the highest levels of governance at the Vatican, they were observing something in space that may be of great importance in the future.
That is.
You remember that?
Well, I don't remember him referring to a specific thing.
No, I know, but vaguely, do you recall that that he did make reference to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be now, mind you, that they were observing something that would be of some great importance in 5 to 10 years in the future?
No, I don't remember that detail. I remember the Vatican was watching for something. Now, well, I'm not sure what that something was, frankly. Why?
Well, and I can tell you this, sir. I am so, you can't believe how I'm calming down. I'm excited because I'm talking to you.
Okay, what do you think they were looking for?
I don't necessarily know, and I'm not going to get theologic or being in theology and complicate a wonderful conversation that I am enjoying myself, mind you. But what I'm trying to say, sir, is it was almost prophetic. He said within 5 to 10 years into the future, this would be of some relevance, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in 2007, the Vatican had a conference with certain representatives of the Jesuit order from Mount Graham.
Right.
In 2009, they had. There's a message to my madness here, so follow me. And I'm trying to be fast because I know you're looking at the clock like I am. The situation is that your name has come up many a times in a prophetic sense with regards to Mr. Bell. The fact that a conference was held in 2009 at the Vatican with both atheists and religious representatives of the various different scientific disciplines regarding the possibility of what possibly could be an influence or a change on Earth from something that may come from, shall we say, possibly out there, maybe. So that conference was held, and your conversation with him was of prophetic, shall we say, relevance to that.
Well, did you hear Leo Ashcraft's newscast a little while ago?
Something? No, I didn't. I apologize for that. I wish I had. Why? Could you bring me up to date on that?
Well, he was talking about asteroids and doomsday and stuff like that.
I vaguely heard some of that as I was trying to see if I could catch in. Yes,
well, doomsday and asteroids would be something that the Vatican would be definitely on the lookout for.
Well, I wanted you to know that your name has been mentioned many a times in relationship to that particular I'm trying to find the words because I'm looking at the clock myself, as you probably are. That your point and that particular question that you asked, sir, was extremely relevant to the fact that conference was held in 2009.
Well, there's one thing, sir, I don't want to be part of, and that's prophecy.
No, and I apologize if I infringed on anything like that.
No.
Look, listen, I don't want to lose you. I want to keep you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I like listening to you, and I don't want to be part of any prophecy either. But what I'm saying is that there is some correlation, and what is your take on that?
I don't know, because I don't know what it is that we're talking about specifically. I'm sorry, I can't help you out. I miss Father Malachi Martin so much. I know all of you do. And I don't want to say that I'm looking for another Malachi, because I'm not going to find one. But I have found an interesting priest. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. As you know, I don't advertise guests ahead of time for extremely good reasons. But I'm telling you that I'm on to something. I guess that's the best way to put it. Let's go to Sedona, Arizona on the phone. You're on the air. Hi.
Hey, good evening, Art. How you doing?
I'm doing well, sir.
Long time fan. I first heard Art Bell back in the 90s when Strange Universe did a feature on you.
Oh, that's right.
I've been listening religiously since. I'm an advanced quantum mechanics physicist, and I'm sitting here with the illustrious, beautiful Linda. And the reason for the call was we kind of entertained this idea a while back, but we didn't know where we wanted to break this story.
Break it here.
And I couldn't think of a better place than to do it on the Art Bell Show.
All right, fire away. What have you done?
Well, here we go. It was about a year ago, wasn't it, Linda? Back in looks like last year in March, and she saw me on YouTube, and she reached out and said, "Is there something that you could do for me medically?" I said, "Well, I do take a few select cases from time to time on. Tell me about yours."
Okay, well, when you keep saying Linda, you're not talking about our Linda Moulton Howe, right? You used the last name. I don't want you to do that. I'm sorry, I had to take it out. Linda is your friend?
Yeah, best friend.
Best friend, okay.
There you go. And so about a year ago, when she found me on the web, she reached out and asked me if I would help her in her medical condition.
Okay.
And so what we did, Linda here was pretty much shattered from nose to toe in a terrible drunken driving accident. Drunken driver hit her and it smashed her entire body. Her then pregnant son was born in a coma.
Oh my God!
He's doing good today. But Linda has went through about 12 now. No, yeah, she's went through about 12 botched surgeries. They've cut nerves. They've left her to a state where she would never walk again.
Oh my, very bad. Yes.
I took on this case, and Linda's pretty happy to say that we walked across the island that we live here a mile. She runs up and down tree to
Okay.
stairs.
You know, we don't have a lot of time, but what did you do for her?
Well, we use frequencies. She dropped her off all of the meds. We now use frequency-based technology that I've designed.
Okay, but how do you deliver? Hold on. How do you deliver the frequency? Is it an audio frequency? Is it a frequency of radio waves, RF? What?
We do it via text message, Art.
Really?
This is the most advanced way out there.
How do you text? I'm sorry. How do you text a frequency?
Well, it's a standard text message,
yes.
A picture image, and then we attach a vibrational, specific vibrational code frequency, and then I use the telephone number as the quantum entanglement code, thus matching the telephone number with the image once it arrives, and you get about a 10-inch field.
Now you understand. This sounds pretty crazy and wild, right?
Well, I have 2 world records that have been tested.
Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just saying it. You understand. It sounds pretty wild.
Yeah, it sounds pretty wild.
Okay, so I hear Linda. Yep, I hear Linda in the background. Linda, I want you to come to the phone and tell me if you've been cured by text frequencies.
Well, it started on a text frequency. He also has a Digimed program that runs similarly. So I've had several treatments with that, and the holographic treatments with the text. And nerves were regenerated that were cut for 16 years.
Wow! So you're here to testify, Linda, that it really works.
Oh, it really works. It's beyond work.
Yeah, there's about 1,800.
What does she mean beyond works?
Well, I mean it beyond works because, as a matter of fact, when I discussed all of the problems I was having, because I wasn't only just the accident, I've had multiple problems with improper medical treatment. And a few years back, I was actually had a doctor empty a bottle of Buvocaine into my main valve at a routine checkup.
Well, you sure do sound happy now, Linda.
Yeah, well, I'm doing great now, better than I have been in 17 years. So it's something to be really excited about.
It certainly is. All right, thank you very much. Text frequency treatments. You've got a bad back. Maybe I'll shoot you my cell number.
Alright, and that's where we will leave tonight's Midnight in the Desert episode. More paranormal stories will be back with us tomorrow night for part 2 of that Midnight in the Desert interview. In the meantime, let's head into Asgard while we still have a little time before the Asgardian Day finishes. We'll get her up to 5. Should go ahead and, fully do the Tree of Branch weekly. I believe we do still have a few minutes. Not many, but we do have a few before the New Day in Dominion message would pop. Let's go up for Ascension Glyphs, as that would be the next item. to go ahead and touch. And Iris. Yes, you may have. Bing. And it's being limited not because of the stones, but because of gold at the moment. So we're only going to be able to do one of the 3 Ascension Spire glyphs. So we'll have those still to do before the week concludes. We did pick up Marcus in the skin gift for doing 50 overall for the 2-week Asgard season. Not one that I'll probably have much use for, at least at the present time, but it is there for the proverbial effort. As fireworks get shut off by a couple other groups. We did move up the other blue one by using some support Titan chests. And actually, we got a few minutes. Let's take a look at the early guild battle scoreboard for the day 2 of the week, my birthday day, edition of their guild battle of the New World taking on the Gold League yet again. So in the guild war, I'm surprised the heater hasn't kicked back on yet. I'll have to check it after this episode's over. Guild War New World currently leads Ko by a score of 620 to 70. Ko still has 26 of their 40 attacks available. The New World, with their 620, still has 18 attacks still available. So definitely have made a lot more beneficial for their attacks compared to Mr. Ko here. As we take a look, we go on in. Bridge, and 2 out of the 3 bastions are down. 2 left on the bastion of ice, but the nature and fire are totally gone. 1 left on the Mage Academy, 1 left on the White House to get the bonus there. 2 on Spring of Elements. 3 needed for the Foundry, 2 needed for Bastion of Ice. And the first of 7 Citadel targets have been knocked down. Take a look at the rest of Kos. Opponents there, a 235, Astroff, Yasmin, Arachne, Martha, and Celeste. A 153, Astroff, Marcus, Sebastian, Martha, and Yasmin. A 177, Naked Yasmin, Maya, Arachne, Iris, and Celeste. The 168 has been defeated. A 116, Naked again, Martha, Yasmin, with Maya, Celeste, Phobos, I believe, and Martha. 157, Astroff, Yasmin, Arachne, Kira, and Celeste. And finally, a orange level 262, non-Azeroth Yasmin based, with Aurora, Celeste, Nebula, Orion, and Helios, leading up their remaining Citadel targets. The 2 left in Bastion of Ice. To be defeated is a 161, mostly Earth team with Hyperion, and an 81 team, all fires with Hyperion. Now this gets a little weird, especially this one here, because water and fire usually don't mix. I know why this guy's doing it, because Hyperion's second ability does allow some healing, so you can get some heal back on the team. the team has to actually take damage before Hyperion can, and he usually only will do so about once every 40 seconds. But Hyperion with Earth matches a lot better than Hyperion with fire, because these two are more compatible elements to work with. Fire and water don't mix. And of course, flip over to our defense. Bridge ain't even down yet. They still have one more that they have to knock out, and that would be Baba Yaga's 552 line. And you can see they're more definitely water-based with a couple great Earths, only one away from a perfect 6-star line. Very nicely. It's actually about the same line I actually have over on the Kraken server. Except I don't have the level 120s. That Baba Yaga definitely leads there. But that is what we're looking at early on in today's day 2 of the Guild War. 620 plays 70. And the scoring after one day. New World tied with gold at 1320. China at 1212. Cool, today's, people who are going to get their ass handed to them at 1117. Yesterday's idiots, Hikari at 371. And Legion trailing the bottom of the league at 270. Question is, I don't think any of these are replacements. So let's refresh from last week. Gold, Hikari, China. Oh wait, there are replacements. There are replacements. Hold on. Yeah, Legion came up, and the Avengers went down to silver. So there was one demotion fight loss, and there they are. Their Avengers are currently second in the Silver League. And as the world says, another new day dawns in the land of Dominion. So, while we're here, yeah, we're just over an hour, but let's get it done while we're up here. I love that 148 scrolls, by the way. Beautiful, beautiful number. Let's take care of today's Battle of the Elements, and then we will call it a day for day 34. And I will find out what's going on with the heat on my birthday here. Well, that is unless Nexters is going to say no, ain't going to load. And then, well, we would call it right now. Come on, Nexters. Again, this is not rocket science. You have just an inch more to go. Alrighty, so today's Big Money Black Balls opening brought to you by Big Money Black Balls and your local Big Money Black Ball dealers. Have you driven a Big Money Black Ball lately? One more set of opening. We'll leave 35 for later. Screw it. One more. We'll leave 25. Nope. Was hoping to get lucky enough to get a Titan Spear. The Elemental Certificates. 31's not enough, so we will hold off there. Up to the Tournament of the Elements we move. For a Tuesday, we're going to change this line before we start. Okay, we're going to take him out. We're going to bring him up. just because having 4 water titans is going to allow the Titan Spear totem to trigger a lot quicker. So that can kick off and heal a lot quicker than normal. Alright, so there's level 1. There is level 2. Let's see how we hold up in level 3. And not good. Not good right off the get-go. 127 and 8. So that, I think that's probably where we're going to draw it. Let's claim our little treasure chest so we get our prizes. And with that, we will draw a close for today's date in the arena and Grand Arena and all the other forms of said arena. We will see you tomorrow for day 35. Please make sure you do come on back to enjoy. As always, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. Get us up to those targets so next year's Foxy, that nice crazy lady, will pay attention to us. That's 5,000 views. If you have a good bone, birthday wishes, watch some videos. Even if you watch them on repeat, they're all in a playlist, so they're nice, neatly pushed for you together. And of course, find some friends, get some likes and subscribers to boost up those numbers as well. Of course, get some free crypto by going to coinbase.com/join/theparsley. Fill out the paperwork. Go ahead and get yourself $10 in free Bitcoin to either purchase free emeralds, items, or anything else you would like in Hero Wars, as they definitely do pay. And take crypto here in Dominion. CoinBase Earn, less than 2-minute lessons, 1-question quizzes for crypto freebie. And of course, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe as always. It's always a great new world to release Lake Krakens. If you give me just one quick second here, I'm seeing if we do have a final update on the new statistics for the day. It actually doesn't look like we're going to, so we'll post those in part 1 of tomorrow. And until then, again, it's a great new world to release the Kraken. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.